for life. Yeah.
Hello, good morning. In here in the side of Quezon City.
Yes,
Okay, so we can now start our virtual program, a little program, a short program that we have prepared for a special author who has been through the ups and downs of life and yet has managed to really publish not just one, but two books, okay, in political law. Now, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. All other laws emanate from it. Thus, constitutional law is an area of law that needs to be studied by all students and practitioners. In the study of constitutional law, books that explain and synthesize the important issues are necessary for the understanding of the student and the practitioner. One of the newest and most insightful of these books is Constitutional Law, the State and Branches of Government by attorney Yen Lawrence Gabato. The book starts with a comprehensive overview of the Constitution, situating constitutional law in the broad range of the human body of knowledge. It also shows us the characteristics of the Constitution and the history of the Philippine Constitution. As history has shown us, the Constitution is a dynamic document and open to changes. The book then discusses the methods of charter change. Attorney Gabato explains the important principles of constitutional law, like judicial review, the state citizenship, and state immunity from suit. He provides an exhaustive discussion of state principles and policies, which shows to the whole world our values and aspirations as a people and a nation. His book also discusses the separation and delegation of powers among the three government branches, with emphasis on significant issues including independence, checks and balances, interdependence, and inter-branch courtesy. And of course, judicial restraint. It then goes on to expound on the legislative department, the executive department, and the judicial department. Okay, so good morning everyone. My name is Attorney Rochelle Marie Cortez. I am one of the hosts for today's very special book launch. In the side of Quezon City, I would like to introduce to you my partner today, Amir. How are you, Amir?
Hi, Attorney Rochelle. How are you? Good morning. And it's nice to be
with our discussions for this morning, I would like to say that it's been an early endeavor. It's nice to see you again, Amir. Amir was one of the hosts. Kami pa rin talaga ang napili nitong ating author to be host again for the second time. So, what can you say about this, Amir?
Yeah, hi, Attorney Rochelle. It's nice to be co-hosting with you again. I'm sure you are just as excited as I am to get to know more about the book we will be launching today. And after hearing, of course, the third forward, I am sure that this book is going to be worth our time and money. Tony Rochelle, Ikaw, what can you say about the book that we'll be launching today?
Sure. One moment.
Okay, so without much further ado, I think yeah, so can we call now the man of the hour, Attorney Bien, to enlighten us about his book, Constitutional Law, the State and Branches of Government.
Yes. Thank you very much. Nice to see you again, Rochelle, after a very long time. Yeah, the last time we see each other was I think in the classroom. Yeah, and yeah, and I also like I'm also happy to see Amir again in you know in of course I would like to thank you for again renewing and accepting my invitation to be here today. Okay, so all right.
So before we continue, before we ask Attorney Ben to speak about this book, we just like to remind everyone watching this launch live via Facebook. You can please like and share this launch, and later we will be giving away prizes. No? We will be giving away three constitutional law of the Philippines. So for the lucky winners, we will be announcing before. So please stay with us the end of before the end of the program, we will be announcing our lucky winner. So again, please like and share this via Facebook.
Okay, so Amir, before we actually delve into the specifics of the book, I just would like to say that apart from being a schoolmate at the Arellano University School of Law, he is now a classmate at the LLM program at the University of the Philippines College of Law. Previously, he was connected as a member of the Philippine Dispute Resolution Center, and I think, is a member in good standing of the Philippine Dispute Resolution Center Incorporated, the Philippine Institute of Arbitrators, and of course, he's a favorite professor of law at the Emilio Aguinaldo College Las Marinas Institute of the Law and Justice. And another feather that Bien can add to his roster of achievements would be a book author times two. So this is, of course, again, a non-stop goal. I have interviewed our author today, and I was told that, medyo gusto niya po talaga magsulat ng magsulat. Is it addictive, Bien?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and of
Okay,
course
so
it's something that yes. Okay.
I hope you can always consider us the host, right, Amir?
Yes,
This is fun.
it's an honor to be co-hosting with you, Attorney Rochelle, and of course for this book launch.
Okay, so to be serious lang ng konti, Attorney Bien, can you please share to our listeners and even viewers what they can expect with the second book?
Okay, so after when I first wrote the original purpose of me writing the first book, of course, to have a clear cut definition of writing about the Bill of Rights. Then after I finished the first book, I just felt that it seems so lacking if you do not have if you're not going to discuss the Constitution in its entirety. So around the time that I was able to finish the manuscript for the first one, I started collating all my previous notes insofar as because in law school we call this constitutional law one. Some would call this political law per se because this involves the elements of the state and the branches and the powers the powers of government as exemplified by the three branches. So this one is more on, but more or less they colloquially consider this as the part where the concept of political law comes to mind because constitutional law, for one, I think it is known as more of studying the fundamental powers of the state and the limitations as to the fundamental powers. Of course, part of constitutional law is, of course, the study of the elements of the state and, of course, the structure and powers of government. But well, it is more commonly known as political law. So sometimes we call that political. Although in our law schools, usually it's constitutional law or constitutional law too. So usually what we call political law. The other one would be constitutional law. Now, political law is a little bit tricky to. Actually, I was not even trying to imagine writing this one because it's a little bit of a challenge actually. Because political law is it's I describe it in the book. It's mutable. It's always subject to an influx of change. That's the nature of the law itself. So actually, it's really a challenge, especially that right now there's already talk of changing the constitution. There's another talk of charter change which has been discussed even since 1996, but until now nothing has really come out of that.
Okay, and I managed to get the hold of an advanced copy at the weekend, and I saw that, of course, your first volume was informative, and it gave me, even as a practitioner, a good foundation, di ba? Parang refresher, even if I'm a practicing lawyer. But for this book, okay, the reader is treated to the updated jurisprudence, okay, and even now that I'm a practitioner, it is important that I am also equipped with the recent cases in relation to political law, as of course, times are changing. Do you feel the same observation, Amir?
Yes, attorney, the same. It's a good that you mentioned political law and constitutional law, and I'm sure, attorney Rochelle, you've gotten yourself a copy of the first volume, no? And you've mentioned that as a lawyer, as a practicing lawyer, it helped you with because of the recent and updated jurisprudence. So, as student myself, no, I find the first volume immensely interesting because of again, the updated jurisprudence and as well as the commentaries, which are very helpful for students like me who wish to have a better understanding and appreciation of the political laws. So with that, I'm very, very excited to get to know more about this book, Attorney Rochelle.
Yes. So go on. You can ask questions
Yeah, oh,
malapit sa iyo.
sure. So,
We're blessed.
so yun, medyo excited tayo. So, tinignan namin yung table of contents and we saw that there are a number of topics that are really interesting. I'm sure it will be very beneficial to our audience, our students, our practicing lawyers alike. So, let me ask you a certain question. I'm sure our audience would also like to know how certain topics are discussed in your book. So let me pick one topic. It's about citizenship. So, recently, the law recognizes foundlings as Filipino citizens. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I think we had mentioned in our book that we were able to capture it that there's new legislation as to the rights of foundlings. So before there's no law that in that treats the rights of the foundings. Well, it is only when around the time that there was this case involving, if I can recall, Grace Poe, when she ran for president. Yeah, when she ran for president, the issue on foundings was tackled. Okay, so of course, per our jurisprudence and per the discussion of jurisprudence in O versus Comelec, Liman Poe versus Comelec. Of course, the discussion centered around, of course, insofar as international law is concerned, although we do not have any legislation at the time of that jurisprudence, we recognize foundlings, of course, as citizens from the place where they were the domicile where they were given birth. Okay, so they were given certain rights, but of course that's for purposes of public international law. Of course, it would be better if there would be enabling legislation. So I think there's a recent legislation on that which was passed before around, I think, May or June, which tackles the rights and rights the rights and the rights of founding when found under the law. So so citizenship now is not just limited to natural born citizens or naturalized citizens. They considered certain issues like foundings. Foundings have a peculiar way of being conceived. So there's already legislation that address that. So aside from I think aside from foundings, of course the law. I think that there's also a recent rule on the in relation to on foundings, because of course if you read Lemansares Poe, there's a discussion as to whether or not what would be the status of of the founding, would that founding be stateless? Yeah. But insofar as statelessness is concerned, the Supreme Court has recently, I think also this June, recently issued rules as to rules as to stateless person. So well, we can say that first, as so far as citizenship is concerned, times is a little changing. So we have to update ourselves with the current the current trends in public international law, so long as it will be applicable, of course.
Yeah, that's good to know, Attorney. And for our audience, only goes to show that this book is updated, so it already contains the recent laws applicable to citizenship. So that is good to know. How about your Attorney Rochelle? Is there something that you want to know about this book? Yeah.
Yes, since I mentioned that the book is really filled with a lot of jurisprudence that are new. Okay, so my question is on co-warranto attorney again. So we have been taught in law school, even time in memorial, that there are even modes of removing public officers, and that is only through impeachment. Now, I want to know what are your thoughts or updates about the book regarding co-warranto?
All right. So, before I answer that, this goes to show how, as I said initially in the first pages of the book, how political law is so mutable. So, of course, the discussion as to mutability diverges on the point that, of course, political law may be abrogated depending on the whims of the general public. Remember, if we can recall the concept of the social contract. Okay. But of course, that's just part of that mutability concept. It's more on the overall interpretation. Now, insofar as co-warranto is concerned, if we're going to follow jurisprudence right now, um, co-warranto as an alternative mode of removing public officials which may be also susceptible to impeachment, it's already been recognized because I think there's a recent jurisprudence involving the late Chief Justice Corona, which granted his post mortem retirement benefit. So one of the discussions there was more on the recognition of co-warranto. Now, of course, the recognition of co-warranto as a possible way to remove an impeachable officer would, of course, stem all the way back to this case of Republic versus Sereno. Now, Republic versus Sereno by itself is still a little bit challenging because although although the Supreme Court was able to legally explain certain aspects of that possibility, and I think they cited American jurisprudence that enabling that possibility. Um, there are some procedural aspects that need to be fleshed out. Like, for example, um, there is no. If you're going to read the decision in Sereno, it might appear that there's no more distinction between your co-warranto under Rule 66 and your co-warranto under the Common Rules of Procedure. Um, because as it stands, if you're going to read the rules, they have different deadlines and they have different grounds. Now, what happened was there was a determination that since there was a ground it can be a ground under the Comelec rules, you can do the co-warranto, which is I think a little bit confusing because we are aware that what was done there was a Rule 66, but why is it mixed with that with that other provision of co-warranty? Another thing is, of course, these pensions of government invoking it's the government invoking sometimes this concept that they cannot be bound by estobel. Actually, there are portions of the sense of several justices there stating that the government cannot just invoke that non violability or the or its exemption that it seems as to Escopel because well on the other hand that would tolerate sometimes the ineptitude of government. Why are they trying to do something? There are a lot of possible issues that can be raised. Of course, there will always be this chance that, of course, this is jurisprudence. This is jurisprudence. Remember that jurisprudence is based on precedents. Sometimes those precedents may last for a long time. There will be precedents that might be reversed or might be revisited from time to time. So, and that's sometimes the I don't know if it's the beauty or a curse. It depends on how you're going to look at it. But that's how you would like to appreciate political law because it's there's not that there's no clinging into permanence. It's sometimes changing. Unlike sometimes in criminal law, example, action, the case of action, it's still there up to now. It's still your case as to mistake of fact and all of those doctrines. But in political law, it depends. Of course, governments change, people in government change. Of course, there are certain aspects that mutable, and it's always subject to this flux always from time to time.
Okay. And I also observed that one of the strengths of your volume 2, this book specifically, is the numerous examples that you have given the readers and your readers, your potential readers, and you were able to present landmark cases from history and the latest jurisprudence from the Supreme Court that you have, you have written currently, diba? And the readers are treated with the sweep of Philippine constitutional law from the Declaration of Independence up to the present. Now, in present times, we are aware that the Philippine government enters into various international agreements. Now, I'm interested to hear your thoughts about what you have written on treaty ratification.
All right. Yeah. Before we go to treaty ratification, you mentioned about choosing the right jurisprudence. Actually, that's the trickiest part in writing book because sometimes jurisprudence there would be a new jurisprudence lying around there, and there would be a new one being released by the Supreme Court. Of course, you'd be very much excited or very much you don't know what's happening. Like this is not in the book, but remember before June 30, there was a the decision was released as to the petitions against the incumbent president. Of course, it was not reached, but of course there would always be some scholarly discussions that of course we tend to look at it on the basis of qualifications, but that would be another discussion for us. So let's go to treaty ratification. So 2 years ago, if we, I mean not 2 years ago, around yeah, 2 years ago, I can recall that because I was in the middle. That was before the pandemic shut everything down. So remember if you can recall the president. And I think that I recall that it was the time that what I'm saying is it's another instance that's around I think the BFA thing. But if you can recall, President Duterte unilaterally unilaterally removed us from the International Criminal Court. Okay, so now of course a petition was filed, but well in an instant, I think around 2 days later, the ICC accepted the withdrawal. Okay, so while the case was there in the Supreme Court, it was withdrawn the middle. So we are aware as professors and law students that of course what would happen is that the case would be moot in academic as a general rule. But well, the Supreme Court decided to exercise their symbolic function and and made the no, no, made the decision although the case was already dismissed. So of course, this is subject to several opinions of other justices. I heard a Supreme Court justice saying that the case of, I think, Pangilinan versus Cayetano is a big advisory opinion. I can recall if it's third Justice Vicente Mendoza said that in one of the forums. But going to the meat of the discussion, um, before Pangilinan, the only jurisprudence that is very much that I mean the only jurisprudence being taught in law school was not even Philippine jurisprudence. Actually, most of the books, even Bernas, cited this old case of Goldwater versus Carter. So when I was in law school, maybe perhaps you will our time, the discussion is can the president can the Senate, what is the role of the Senate? So the role of the Senate is the ratification of the treaty. Okay, upon the signing, there should be a ratification of the Senate. But what if it's going to be revoked? So when under Goldwater, it was said that it's a political question if the president would revoke that would revoke the treaty. So it is not for the Senate to interfere. That's the decision and discretion of the president. Now, that has been in our books. Although Berna cited that there is before he mentioned in his book that there's a little bit of a gray area there. What will happen? Then when Pangilinan versus Cayetano came, well, the question is, did the jurisprudence fill the gaps? But what the Supreme Court did there was they used this framework. We call this the Youngstown framework, because this is called from 1953 United States decision of the Supreme Court of the United States. Although this Youngstown case has been already cited previously, but on different discussions, but this has already been recognized in jurisprudence. So the Supreme Court adopted the Youngstown framework. It's if we're going to explain it briefly, it's about balancing if there is a need for the other branch of government to have a say or interfere with the supposed unilateral act, it may do so. It depends on the circumstances of the case. So that's how the Supreme Court now stands. Now there are also other issues as to treaty ratification aside from the Youngstown framework. I think there is also a discussion on, because for a long time we've been applying this concept of this adoption of a treaty. You may interpret it as a law. The Pangilinan versus Cayetano essentially changed the doctrine insofar as we are supposedly reverting back to the Ichong versus Hernandez doctrine that a treaty may be subject to police power. Yeah, because previous to that, there's a after Chong versus Hernandez, and after the WTO cases, there are several jurisprudence that would say that if there would be an analogous part of a treaty, analogous circumstance, it can be you can apply the treaty as if it was law. It has been applied to numerous jurisprudence already up until before Pangilinan. Then Pangilinan came up with the decision. So, well, well, some would say that Pangilinan versus Cayetano still needs testing because there's not really an actual case. Remember that the case was decided the basis that it's already mooted academic. They just exercise the symbolic function. But it's up for a next case to decide whether or not this would be jurisprudence. But of course, we have to update ourselves with what the Supreme Court has to say on this matter.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Vivian. It goes to show the weight that you have placed in your research in order to come up with your volume 2. And I saw in our Facebook, Amir, that we have a lot of viewers already.
Wow,
With
that's
their
good to
name.
know.
Can you tell us the surprise?
Oh yeah,
Central
okay.
and
Yes, yes.
our offer today?
Yes, it's a good thing that you mentioned that, Attorney Rochelle. No? And for the benefit of our viewers, we will be giving away prizes or 3 copies of the Constitutional Law of the Philippines. So for our viewers on Facebook, again, we are asking you to like and share our streaming of this book launch, and later the Central Books will be choosing lucky winners of this book. And of course, Attorney Gabato, the author himself, will be giving away 1 copy of this. So the lucky winner will be announced before we end the program.
Wow.
Wow.
So you are very lucky not only for getting tips about the book from Attorney Jen, but also having the chance to win a book and a caudal. So napaka-importante that you get hold of this caudal and a book on constitutional, especially those who would like to enroll in law school because it's a foundation subject in law school.
That's right.
So with this, can we ask our author, attorney Amir, teacher attorney Amir, who are these people that we would like to thank, and even say a little speech about these people who really helped him, come up about the second book. I'm personally interested to know who, in particular, inspired our author to come up with volume 2.
That's of course, everybody. Of course, my students are part of that inspiration. If not for our students, will not be doing this. Of course, our loved ones is always here to us to support. I think I subscribe. Of
Loved
course.
ones, yung loved ones. Like, kailangan bang...
Ibubulong niya lang attorney sa akin. Pero now na. Okay.
PM mo na lang.
PM na lang ba? PM is the na lang, no?
Whisper is live.
And seriously, sige, happy for.
Yeah, so of course we have to thank everyone. Of course, all those people who supported, of course, saka na tayo magpatik sa dulo. Kung natapusin na natin agad yung storya natin. Raffle pa tayo, ikaw naman.
Okay. Sige, we'll reserve that later. No? I think Attorney Gabato would like to award the prizes na, no? And maybe know from Kath of Central Books if we have lucky winners.
Forward kasi.
Sige pa. Okay, sige pa. We'll just wait for a while, no? So while waiting for the lucky
Do you have
winners,
any questions?
baka our audience watching us via Facebook or via Zoom, if you have questions, please type it in, and we will be entertaining some of your questions. I'm sure you are also as interested as me to get to know more about this book.
Yes. I saw in Facebook also a mirror about
This.
yes. I saw in Facebook. Jennifer Aran Bisma says, congratulations po Attorney Jen Lawrence Gabato.
Congratulations also to Jen. Jen is the first graduate of Emilio Aguinaldo College, Cavite, School of Law.
Congratulations, Jen.
Congratulations. Okay, so I think attorney we have one lucky winner. I'll be announcing one lucky winner, and then maybe we can proceed with the next part of the program. So
Yes.
for our first winner of the Constitutional Law of the Philippines, we have James Indaya. Again,
Wow.
congratulations, James Indaya. Kindly message Central Books via their Facebook account. Yan. Okay, so I think we still have time to announce one more winner of the Constitutional Law of the Philippines, and the next lucky winner is Mark Angelo Enriquez. Again, congratulations, Mark Angelo Enriquez. Kindly message Central Books via their Facebook account. Yeah. So we'll reserve the 2 more after. Maybe attorney, if you have other questions
Yes.
from the audience.
I I just wanted to relate to our author today, the
Alright.
people who wanted to extend congratulatory remarks or messages to Attorney Gen. So, meron dito tayong from Dave Aquino. Congratulations. Sabi din po ni James Indayo just won. Congratulations po, Attorney Gabato. Then Mark Jimeno Bocanan also says congratulations po, Attorney Gabato. And then Elizabeth Rachel Davis also sends congratulations to Attorney Gian Lawrence Gabato. So a lot of people are really happy for your team, Attorney Gian.
Yes,
And of course, kami niya here, you're definitely lucky and blessed to be part of your launching for your volume 2.
Yes.
Sige, I think you can now announce your,
Yes.
the third winner.
All right, for our third winner of the Constitutional Law of the Philippines, third winner is Maureen Ava Saiko. Congratulations again, Maureen Ava Saiko. Please
Nakakadalawa na
message
siya.
Maureen.
Nanalo siya the last time.
Oh, well, she's very supportive of you. Lucky her, and she deserves it. Maureen, please message us through Central Bookstore Facebook account. So congratulations. Do you know her?
Attorney
Yeah,
Ken,
she's pretty-
Attorney
she's-
John Daniel Fernando. What's up? Attorney Ben and Attorney Rochelle.
Ayan.
If you wanna give credit to this person for being your photographer for the
Yes.
So we have a photographer for that. So he deserves the book.
Yes.
So yeah. So thank you to our congratulations to our winners. Attorney, would you like to to announce the winner of your lucky
Yeah,
book?
we can do so.
Okay, sige. The lucky winner who will get this book as a prize will be congratulations to Lara Kapake. Congratulations to Lara Kapake.
That's the
Congratulations.
volume 2.
Yes.
Winner of the volume
Yeah.
2. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
May note pa ni attorney to later. No? So congratulations. It's just a book. When you get this, you will receive this with a note from the author himself.
How will the winner of book 2 receive that book? Will it be free shipping?
Yes.
Yes, I think Central Books will be shipping this out. Just make sure to message Central Books via their Facebook account.
Yes.
And they'll be coordinating with you regarding the shipping details of your
Yes,
prices.
and if I can recall, I think Central is sending. I mean, I don't know for this month or for the next until the next. Their shipping fees have been waived, so I think you can
Wow.
deliver. You can ask someone to. You can order any book from them, regardless of the amount. It's free shipping right now.
So again, we encourage everyone to buy books from Central Books because as Attorney Cabata said, the shipping fee shall be waived. No? So please support. And of course, please don't forget to support this book. So please get a copy of this book. Just like our discussions a while were just a preview of what you will get out of this book. So yeah, please get a copy of Constitutional Law, the State and Branches of Government.
Yes. So congratulations to all our winners for both the Kodal and the book 2 or the volume 2 of Attorney Gabato's book. But of course, those who have not won, please always be on standby for any updates from Central Books. They are really giving away prizes or books for every book launching. And we are definitely lucky to have partnered with Central Books. Maraming salamat po. So, in more or less closing time, may I ask Attorney again for any final message to our viewers, to the students, and to friends who have supported in this endeavor?
Yes. Okay, so yeah, first of all, of course, I would like to thank those who attended. I saw Dr. Professor Jeremy Chatdula a while ago, and I also saw our good friend, Attorney Jesse Salvador. One of the best lawyers in Bacoor. Yeah, linag kita Jess, wala ka na masasabi. Okay, so yeah, so I saw them kanina, and then of course I would like to thank those. I would like to thank my students who attended in this Facebook in this simple book launch. We were not, we're not really selling. Yeah, I heard this somewhere in one of the videos that was asked by your thesis advisor, si Professor Gitanguya. She had a video there of a lawyer who was lecturing on legal forms, how to make legal forms. In the last part of his one art talk, he said that I have a book here, but I'm not really going to sell this book because this is not John Grisham. Yeah, of course, I'm not going to expect myself. Of course, when writing this book, in writing volume one and volume, what is in mind here is not we're not writing something of a fantasy novel. This is something which is delicately written for the law student and the legal practitioner. Yeah. Of course, of course, writing constitutional law is a little bit sensitive, especially to most who are purists in nature. Like, for example, right now in political law, look at the landscape right now. There is already a challenge to history. Okay, there's already a challenge of which is do we find it as a negative or a positive? Well, I think of it as a positive because it means that number one, democracy works. Number two, that's the point. It's an exchange of information. Now, whether or not it would be, it would be, it would be how to if you need to correct it because it's misinformation. You have to emphasize the fact. The point is there is an expression. There is already an expression, and sometimes that expression does not spill over to the freedom of expression aspect. It also it is also it also goes out to even how the fundamental structure of the government is now being made, and especially now, to be honest, I wrote here that the constitution, even until now, today is 2020, it has not been amended since 1987. So I think that insofar as we Filipinos want change, it's not about the change in the constitution. It's more on a change on how you're going to do things. Because it's easy to change the constitution. You can if I always maintain this belief that even if we are on an absolute monarch, we can still survive. But of course, it will always go to political gain. That's why there was an evolution of, well, most of the nations of this world is now delving on, of course, a form of democracy. Even monarchies are now constitutional monarchy. So there's already an essence of democracy in every aspect, except in a few nations, which of course being monitored. But of course, that's the beauty of political law in general. That's why I named this constitutional law, because we're talking about the law in itself. Because when we say political law, well, to this I discussed this also in the preface. I mentioned one of our professors' favorite professors, diba? Si Marticos Kinyemi. But it's more on, he said in one of his speeches that, well, it's sometimes whatever happens when it comes to politics or when it comes to law, the law would always be the bedrock. That's why when he was lecturing, Kostunyemi pointed out at the books. He said that this is the proof of law. All of the books that is on my back, at his back. He said that you have to there is the law will always be the driving force. Politics may change, but the law will always have that permanent. It will already be a constitution, and I'll be glad. I would be, of course, I am very much glad, and I'm of course satisfied that I was able to at least contribute to the institution, that bedrock, that institution. I was given that opportunity. Now, of course, I would like to thank of course, aside from my two lovely hosts here, especially Amir, I would like to, of course, I would like to thank my classmates in LLM. Again, if not meeting also you guys, because for me this is a way also to motivate writing. I know that you have this writing. I'm just more of an introvert, but I writing these books is also a way of practicing my writing for the thesis. Actually, more of the research because when we entered LLM, at least it's a little bit new in the sense that we're going to do this research. I know the research, the point, but of course I have not been doing research for the last 10, 15 years. So it's a little bit of parang dry run for what I'm going to what I'm expecting. I need something to make some to I need something to drive myself to write. Okay, so, and I think this is the result of that. This is the fruit of that labor. One of the reasons that there is this fruit of this labor. Then would also like to thank, of course, the students and faculty of Emilio Ordinario College, Cavite, which of course Attorney Rochelle is also teaching there. Yes, yeah, teaching there. And some of my colleagues there are teaching there. I'd like to thank them for their support that they've given me, especially si Dean Shannon at saka si Associate Dean Joey. Okay, so then of course I'd like to thank all of my, of course, loved ones, of course, my parents, of course, my mother, who's been, who's been, who's been supportive, of course, other, my other, my brothers who are very supportive of my endeavors from start to finish. And of course, I'm dedicating this. And of course, actually, wala siya, di siya nakaten. The first volume was dedicated to my former professor, si Dean Jun Magsali. Of course, I believe in this concept of distribution of acknowledgements. Okay, so I know that Dean Magsalin was the one who created that foundation, but it was this another professor who it was this another professor who kind of made things he used this term always in review and in lectures. You should always know how to put things outside the box. You may have the materials inside the box, but if you do not know how to use the materials inside the box, that would be nothing. So of course I dedicated this blue book or this volume to Professor Edwin Sandoval. He's my political law review professor in Italiano. Of course, the viewer when there was this the now defunct Lex Revision Seminars is one of the lecturers. So I'm dedicating this to Attorney Ed. Yeah, so na-cite siya sa parehong book kasi yung case nila natin. Okay. So yeah, so of course, Attorney Ed was also part of my journey into political law. He made the study of political law much also easier, and it made me understand other concepts more. So yes, I would like to, and of course I would like to call, of course, aside from my students, those who are listening right now, I hope that you can purchase this book, volume one. The green one is the about the Bill of Rights. The blue one is about essentially the branches of government. So I hope that you'll be able to buy these books. Then of course we have to also mention that the Central Books would be participating in the Manila International Book Fair this September. Everybody's a little bit excited. Aren't you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, because it's been a long time. I mean, it's like after the pandemic struck in 2020, everything was where we were in a world of Zoom and Google Classroom meetings. So at least, hopefully, it would not really spike because I think the cases are spiking again. But I hope that by September, nothing will be that very for the worst. I hope na matuloy yung ating MIBF because Central Books is one of those who committed participating. And we don't know, Amir might be there.
See each other there.
Yeah, we might see each other.
And Attorney Rochelle, who knows?
Yes, because I know someone from your side loves to look at books. She literally wants to swim at the books.
Okay, so before I forget, another LLM classmate joined via Zoom. I would like to say hello and welcome to Attorney Louis Villanueva from Cebu. Diba? You have so much support from your LLM classmate,
Yes.
Attorney again.
Yes. So, dagang salamat, Louie.
Okay, so Amir, on your part, is there anything left to announce?
That's all for me, Attorney. I can't wait to have a copy of this book.
Yeah, so I think again, the book is already available via the website of
Yes.
tama ba? Central Bookstore. Can you help us plug where the books or your books, your volumes 1 and 2 are available?
Yes, so they're available right now at the Central Books website. If you go to the Central Books Facebook page, there will always be a link that we're going to be linked to the website. So if you cannot find the Central Books website, because of course they have other other offers. If you want to go directly, you can go to the Facebook page of Central Books where they have this photo store. I don't know about Volume 2, but Volume 1 is also available at the Central Books website, the Central Books account of Shopee. Yes.
Okay, so Shopee and Central Books, they are these two books of yours are available, and I think naman the shipping can be. I saw in Central Books that they are waiving the delivery fee
Yes.
for free. Tama ba? The
Yes,
delivery fee
yeah, for
free.
purposes of Shopee, of course, there would always be the cashback
That,
and the sale. Yeah, napansin ko lagi
so
nakasale.
we encourage everyone who are listening to us right now to please do purchase a book from Central Bookstore and from Central Bookstore Shopee account. Okay, so Amir already said that there's no more left to do there at Central. On my part, because I was able to synthesize the book, I am certain that this book will definitely help our students and even the practitioners because we are taught that the Constitution is a testament to the living democracy in this jurisdiction. It contains the compendium of the guaranteed rights of individuals as well as the powers granted to and restrictions imposed on government officials and instrumentalities. And a lot of that concepts can be explained by the volumes 1 and 2 books of our author, Attorney Bien Lawrence Gabato. So on this side of the Philippines, I would like to thank everybody for joining us and for listening. And those who won, can you just please send us the names and with the complete addresses for shipping purposes. So with this, I would like to end our book launching on behalf of Attorney Gian Lawrence Cabato. My name is Attorney Rochelle Marie Cortez and my co-host Amir. We would like to thank you all for joining us this morning. God bless.
God bless.